world was a loud, angry place for 10-year-old Leo. Tonight, it was his father's voice, a booming thunder that rattled the dinner plates. It was a simple instruction, Leo. Just one thing. A glass of water on the table trembled, then exploded. A shower of glittering shards and droplets. Silence fell, thick and heavy. Later, in the quiet of his room, the house settled into its usual nighttime groans. But tonight, there was something else, a whisper, like dry leaves skittering across pavement, seemed to slither from the walls. Leo's breath hitched. In the corner of his room, where the shadows were deepest, a tall, thin darkness gathered, a shape that was not a shadow, but something that drank the light. The next morning, Leo was a ghost at the breakfast table. His older sister, Ilara, watched him, her brow furrowed with worry. "You're quiet today," she said, her voice a gentle counterpoint to the storm of the previous night. "Did you have a bad dream?" Leo just shook his head, his eyes fixed on his uneaten cereal. In Leo's room, Ilara tried to coax a smile from him, pulling a worn copy of his favorite adventure book from the shelf. As she held it out, the book twitched in her hand, then floated, suspended in the air between them. Ilara gasped, her eyes wide with a dawning, impossible understanding. The whispers grew louder, no longer just in the walls, but in Leo's head. The shadow in his room became a constant, unwelcome guest. It didn't speak in words, but in feelings. A cold promise of power, a seductive pull towards the darkness that mirrored the anger he so often felt. "He's not just having nightmares," Ilara insisted, her voice tight with desperation as she spoke to her mother. "Something is happening. Something is in his room." Her mother sighed, a sound of weary patience. "Ilara? He has an active imagination. It's a phase." The town library was Ilara's sanctuary. In a dusty corner, she found a book of local legends, its pages brittle with age. She read of a creature of shadow that was drawn to those with the gift, a creature that fed on fear and anger, promising power but delivering only emptiness. That night, the shadow stepped out of the corner, its form coalescing into something more solid, more terrifying. "They don't understand you," the whispers echoed in Leo's mind. "But I do. Join me, and you will never be afraid again." The bedroom door burst open. Ilara stood there, her face pale but her eyes blazing. In her hand, she clutched a small, twisted piece of iron, an old charm she'd read about in the book. "Get away from him," she said, her voice trembling but firm. The shadow turned its featureless face towards Ilara, a wave of cold emanating from it. But in that moment, something inside Leo shifted. He saw his sister, his protector, standing against the darkness for him. A torrent of power, raw and untamed, erupted from him, a blinding light that was the opposite of the shadow's suffocating darkness. The whispers screamed, and the shadow dissolved, not into darkness, but into nothing at all.